ukuthola lithuba lokuthi nikubone kufanele ukuthi sitokuvusela nakulena nkundla. Marwick Khumalo utalwa la kalobamba lomdzala. Ukhulela kalobamba, ufunza kalobamba. Kanicala kufunza khona la kalobamba lomdzala e-primary, ufunza kalobamba high school. Uyahamba uyaba semsakadweni, uyaphuma emsakadweni hamba eAmerica esikolweni uyowenda i-bachelor's ku-mass communication. Uyabuya ubuyela emsakadweni for a very short stint. Uyabuya ungena ku-private sector. 1998 ungenela lukhetho kuba yi-MP. So loba yi-MP kuze bengilamuhla.
Okay, siyabonga kuloko Mhlonishwa. I just sonke siyasathi isimo lesikuso right now eSwatini nako konke lokwendekako. Bengifisa ukuva nje ukuthi uMhlonishwa yena from his very rich background in politics, nakabuka yena uMhlonishwa, what should be happening right now, as in as early as tomorrow, yinje lakathi yena kule simo lesikuso nyalo, what would be the immediate route to take?
Well, kule simo lesikuso moderator, I can tell you ukuthi kude lokunye ngaphandle kwe-dialogue. Kude ngoba noma singathini singalwa sibulalane kube njani, ekugcineni kufanele ukuthi sikhulumisane, ikakhulukazi njengoba sisive sinye. Lokukhulumisana kafanele sikubalekele kuyinhlanhla lempi lokuthi it seems elusive. Wena wabona litalapho, uyabona labaningi bayalo ati litalapho, ukuthi uyalikhanza ulibone liqhubeka luhamba. So ke kubhlungu lokho, akufuneki nalokuthi lokukhulumisana kwendeke kanti i-damage seyibe inkulu kakhulu. Ngiyakholelwa ke ukuthi kufanele bakubone ukuthi kube nendlela ukuthi sikhulumisane, ngoba noma ngabe sekunjani kutafanele kukhulunyiswane. Maybe kungcono ukukhuluma kusesemnyalo kunokuthi ngalesikhathi sesiye etafuleni sonke seside nemandla sesiyathudula bese ngikhathi sibona ukuthi sesikhulumisana. That's, I think, is the way out.
Okay, so according to you, the first move that could be taken would be a dialogue, like as early as tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mhlonishwa, angeke nganze kakhulu because I forgot to mention Mhlonishwa can only be with us until 10. So I will also leave a lot of time for e-gallery. So we have seen Mhlonishwa in the past how you stood up against a fruitless expenditure, especially there 2004 kule committee yase parliament. You were leading that committee, le stopper le purchase of the jet, the private jet, and subsequently we it led to your resignation yakho futhi as speaker. So when I look at that example, for me, that is good governance right there. This is exactly the MPs leswathumile parliament standing up for electorate and actually using their power to stop things like fruitless expenditure and all that. So, and this was in 2004, but we have seen how, as the years went by, kwabese sekuyaphela lokuthi kube khona abantu labaphikisako eParliament. Kuyaphela njena, I think vele from I think that was the last time we actually witnessed muscle my MPs. And then it's just, I don't know how, maybe you can explain to us, since we are so close to this situation, how it just went from that to a point where we literally don't even know what my MPs are agreeing or disagreeing on. Understand. How did we move from that point to now where it's just aguna dialogue, aguna debate, aguna lutho? Things are just being signed away.
Well, I just hope maybe Nine General Electorate, you may have the answers. I mean, I'm a political practitioner in the field. It will be very difficult to say what's the Gwendega. What I do know though is, first, let me just correct us. Lenza Island is pre 2003 because in 2003 when I got elected as speaker, bese vele sekukubi kakhulu ngaloko ukuthi bese siyistopishe before Lenza Island is that actually brought my problems to this day. But anyway, I don't mind. What's going on. But le nkushoko manje kufaka ukuthi we believed at the time ukuthi we had that kind of autonomy wekuthi sithi into sithi and stuff like that. Sivote on that issue. In fact, if I had time bengakuchazela ukuthi le vote ihamba njani. So much point at some point we had to adjourn ngokuthi sibone ukuthi no hulumende sotasidla manje kule vote le sasesibiti quorum ukuthi quorum sekude because some MPs we told them they should leave because it was in the evening. In the evening it was known ukuthi most journalists ngeke asabakhona to report about what happened. So sabona lokho ukuthi no hulumende so you must arishile lento yokuthi influence lamanye ma MPs sesitawudliwa. Then we left the house kwaba be decorum. Then the next day we came back in full force. Ngilapho ke sesithatha le vote yokuthi lenzaba legit siyayikhahlela. But those were the days. Now it's a totally different ball game. Totally different ball game in the sense that le autonomy ayisekho kahle because nawukhumbula kahle idolo. Le system leseyibonakala ngathi seyinunu nyalo. Bayikaqali inje. It was behamba kahle ivumela lokwehlukana. Remember at one point umntana inkosi lomunye loba minister wathi hey labantu laba bakhuluma ukuthi iparliament kangwane ingema rubber stamps baboke sebafika baboka lapha sebayobuka sidonsa kalukhuni. And indeed at the time bebathi kahle sinawulisa into eparliament it's going to be tough. But ke ihambe evolve le system then sase sekuba neutralized. Ngihlale ngisho ukuthi I'm sorry to say this but my experience yami ngitshela ukuthi then kwase sekuqala lenzaba yokudliwana nokuthusana ngekuboshwana. I'm not the only one lo agcina boshwe government lebahola Prime Minister Barnabas kwaba nalabanye bahlonishwa lokuthi nje ukhuluma indlela lokubonisa ukuthi you are using your independence as a legislature lengahambisani naye noma lengahambisani nahulumende labekamhola, then you'll pay the price. In fact, yesterday ngibonile umfundisi wami lengumthandzako Justice aphendula la ukuthi no nawukhuluma lengekhathi leParliament une immunity kude lokwentiwa kona ngathi hey Nkosi yami mlangeni khuluma from a remote perspective. Kakade kokuthi lo lokukhuluma lengekhathi ukubhadalela ngalenye indlela lengaphandle because nathi kunama trumped up charges for everyone. Lama trumped up charges aqhamuka lengaphandle kuloko lokukhuluma lengekhathi bese saqhamuka lengaphandle so no lengaphandle wente kuthi uthi mangale nawo but batakudla. So this is nangabe sokwe waba kuwo lo mdlalo you understand ukuthi no ufela lo lokukhuluma lengekhathi more than lo lokukhuluma ngaphandle but ukusetshenziswa ukuthi ngaphandle wente kuthi because they'll go and track you check ukuthi kume njani ukhanze ukuthi kude uyabona na ungasukela each and every one of you la uthi no ngifuna kuthola nje lokubi kukhona lo takuthola ukuthi no uyathi kunana Sithawulane wa sithi price kodwa sisha lesithawulane lesi kodwa sithi price wasithenga ngamalini becomes a case. Ngiyakubekisela nje simple things. Sengisho ukuthi akusilo iqiniso ukuthi sinale unlimited immunity. You pay the price just like we have paid it, and so many are going to pay if we start qhubeka ngale ndlela. We need to sishintshe lento. We need to change i-system evolve. Iqale kahle ngiyasho, but nyalo sekulukhuni seyibonakala inunu.
Just a quick follow-up question. Now, see change the system, see evolve. Are you saying that you do see or prefer a future of Swaziland under the monarch, but in an evolved way?
Well, I know ukuthi singamaswati sitibona tinto ngetindlela tethu. Labanye futhi they talk of a republic, but I still believe the majority of the Swazis bakhuluma ngale monarchy le removed from politics, because now itsandza le monarch nangabe ucabanga ukuthi unale interest yayo mbamba, you would only talk of removing itself from politics. It's not a mistake. It's not, because politics is muddy. Now you don't want to have the institution involved in that. Politics is muddy, it's messy, you know. So ngikho ukuthi sinathi isanza but labo lokhanza ukuthi bona bakubuka ngalenye indlela, you know. That's just no nina isanza nifuna kukwetula. Utawukwetula bese soba ingosi yakaKhumalo njani nje. Because ingosi yakangwane yinye yakadlamini siyakwati lokho, but remove let the monarchy get removed from the day-to-day politics of the country. Allow the people to elect a government that would lead. I am dreaming of a country whereby you'll have His Majesty's government and you'll have His Majesty's opposition, the same way it obtains in the United Kingdom.
Okay. There was also an article in June, Good Times, where you were pleading Nebagangwane to lead the reform process. And you even went as far as to say, because it's not like it's about whether they want to or they like to, but it's a matter of when, you know. So you are basically just cautioning them to say they better take the wheel and start the ball rolling. Can you please just elaborate on how you think this process should play itself out?
My sister, let me just take you back to Tanzania, just so that you know, just to give you. President Nyerere was a Tanzania. Was aware ukuthi ubathe uqhuba ujamaa bengathi kumbe ngidathi inkundla takithi ujamaa uyaqhuba eTanzania kude bekamumva bekevwa nglabantu lakhathi eTanzania. The Western world, what they didn't want to deal with, but ukuthi ijamaa bokuyi socialism, a form of socialism. What happened was wabiti referendum at some point. What's no? Ngala kunalaba bathi multipartyism. Angithi nje political pluralism angisho njalo. Ngala sekune uJamalo bona sizimbumbe singama Tanzanians. Siyokwela lapha sonke ezikwethu lokho kwakithi, you know, kwakhwela khaya. Wayibeke referendum yashala ngetulo ngabo 70 something percent. Ithi ni referendum ithi sihamba ne ujamaa. You see, what's the Nyerere? Okay, very good. Unfortunately, ngaphandle asivakali. Abasiva bonke labantu abasidilisha nabo sayichaza. Sengicela ke manje ukuthi allow me to lead the process. Wangena wathi siyalapha ku-multipartyism. Ngifuna ukuthi sengivulela lamaphathi manje, ngifuna ukuthi lo 70 something votes leni nginike yena lapha ku-referendum sale simfaka la kuChamachapa Bhiduzi, iphathi yasekhaya. Nalamhla leTanzania sekune Chamachapa Bhiduzi leyashiwa ngiNyerere. He led that process. There are many instances lengakubekisela ngawo. La khaya la, unfortunately, we had an opportunity kokuthi kumbe le process ilideke. But clearly, I am mindful and I would be worried ukuthi process ingalidwa i-head of state ingozi. Nangisiba kangwane ngikhuluma in the form of a collective. Ye institution ngokuthi abakubone kufanele ukuthi ngoba lento kufanele evolve. Angeke ihlale inga-evolve ngangumhlolo wakho. Ngeke nje ukuthi simile la bathini ngathi ngudla no asiyinzawo simile. No, then we'll all die because now unga-evolve, you know, lenzamo kufanele iqeke nangabe nilive, otherwise na ingabe flexible itawushumbuka. So ke lenzaba yokuthi simove as reform, it's no longer a question of choice, it's a question of how. Asengiphinze ngibuyele sisi ngithi kancane kuma political parties. I remember at some point I discussed at length several villas nemhlonishwa Obed Dlamini. He was the leader of NLC at the time. Bokwendeke ukuthi one of the political parties in Swaziland, nangikhumbula kahle kwakuyiphutema, yakuphuma i-article yephutema ukuthi siphutema iyawajoyina lama elections. I think that must have been the 8th parliament. Yeah, I think it must have been the 8th parliament. Kwaphuma nje kwaba clear ukuthi iyangena. Kwavakala ke ukuthi kwama political parties ayangena elikhethweni. Yebo, bendani bakangwane. Uzobona ukuthi baba bayahla politics. Bendani bakangwane baba nayo lemhlangano nyalo kokuthi we need to plan for this in the event kwendeka. Imhlangano beyibanjwa lapha eSwazi National Treasury. You know, bahambe bawupota. Bahlale lapha ilekithi nje eParliament ukuphuma bo speaker nabo president bayekhona kube nabantu abenkosi nebalama bandla formulating a strategy. Sekuthini? So how do we nabangena laba? Kusho ukuthini lokho? Kusho ukuthi nabangena bathole imali yokumela lama positions lama political parties. What's going to happen? But abakhanza sebale Parliament. Once baba lenge khathe Parliament, there is nothing lotawukhona kuwenda wena ungihulumende wetenkundla because encenye bataba majority. Now imhlangano bayibanjwa on a daily basis. Then the next day, boom, ephepheni. Oh no, ngeke sikungenele thine lokho. Asingenele siya boycott kwaba ngiloko. You know, ngitama kuthini. Ngitama ukuthi kwaphela lapho lo mhlangano kube ukuthi no, lo akusalo kwanyana. I am saying to you, bandla lehloniphekile lelilalela. Ngibuka mina ukuthi lento yokukhuluma ukhanza ukuthi sikhuluma tinto asikanatha singilala amanye amaswati la kukholelwa kulokunye. Asikahlali phansi sa strategize. Sathi uyathi ukuthi nasingatithola ngoba kusho ukuthini ngene eParliament lakhaya. You need to have money. Kusho ukuthini you need to support the people nawe uyoqala ngene eParliament. Ngihlanhla thina sangena ungaspendi nje cent at the time, not even a cent. But I'm saying nyalo you can't just walk in. Kanti now strategize kahle, you know. Lapha ungaba i-majority uphathe lapha ubekwe ndvuna umphase nga vote of no confidence, you know. But we have refused. Singene kakhulu kule politics ye boycott, and then only to find that we have been playing too much into the hands of the establishment by so doing. ngaloko ukuthi sithi kunjanjani kanzi nabo abahlonishwa lesikhuluma ngoba basifundisile basitshengisile ukuthi you can make an impact right inside, few as they were or few as they are. They've been making the impact. Lengekhathi lamuhla were able to talk nani live libuka ngalinye indlela, but sine solo sa boycott. Now ubuka ukuthi nangabe lo 3 were able to make a difference. How much more kuba zange boycott angena no political parties, because lendlela yetinkundla originally bekungiloko ukuthi wonke umuntu angene. I'm not saying by the way ukuthi kwakukuhle ngaleso sikhathi, kwakungqono. Ngishido ngathi nyalo akusasiso leso simo leso. The whole political landscape has changed for the worse.
Okay, ngiyakuva Mhlonishwa. I pick up that you also agree initially. You do agree with the initial call by Lama pro-democracy MPs for the appointment of a prime minister by electorate. So, with that being said, this I assume, if you are in support of the initial plan, Gushoguti, you do see a future kunale monarch Eswatini. Now I want to find out Gutsi, with so much that has happened, Mhlonishwa, lokubulawa kwebantu, the trumped up charges against them MPs. I mean, anyone can see, a 3-year-old can see what's happening to those MPs. Frustrating them, trying to kill their revolutionary spirits, but postpone. Akusimnanze jail. Baphele postpone. Vele kuthi babulawe mentally, physically, and any other way. Sithini ke simaSwati, how do we move on from this? How as a Maswati are we supposed to have a future with bantu that have shown us this side of them? Bantu labakhombe ngoba Mhlonishwa liqiniso lihle. eMaswati have always had a soft spot for monarchy. It doesn't matter where we were in the world. Khona la bese thina kufika khona uve ngathi hayi phela bangakhuluma isongo inkosi yethu. And you know what that was caused by? We were under the illusion that the king loved us. We were under the illusion that we are stanza King Mswati. But what happened last month and the month before, it is just becoming worse and worse. So I'm wondering how we are supposed to depart from this point and say, okay, I think we can easily say we've reached a point of lapho khona vele lama differences ethu ngathi ngeke asakhona lokureconcile. Ngoba ngiva ngathi okay, even if we do move on ngemonarchy ngeke kube ngilo sicela amane kube ngilomunye. Ngobe how do we move on, Mhlonishwa? Please just help me there.
Sisi, you're talking to someone who has had his own fair share of hardship in this country, and probably I was behind bars for a short time. Maybe it's going to be longer in the future. I may not know. You never know what the future holds. All I can tell you is my heart is bleeding, for my colleagues, Labalenge cards. Because using my own analytical mind, kube lukhuni kimi kokuthi ngicabanga ukuthi bese vele kufike lapho kuthi singabophana, knowing futhi ukuthi nekubophana kusasa kuyaguquka. Just last week lapha eZambia nikhethe nang president wavalelwa 127 days lo khona yena lo wine kuba ngipresident ezam avalelwa ngilala mkhiphile. How do you expect this guy to react nakabona lo lamkhiphile wamdlisa lukhetho? You know, utamyekela nje nomuntu awumluka yena opportunity ukuthi asovena kwangivisa kona 127 days. Umhlonishwa, may his soul rest in peace, umlomdzala Dr. David Kenneth Kaunda. Etoko konke lokuhlela kwende eAfrika. But abewavalele ma political opponents. Bona labo Titus Chiluba. Wababopha. Nabaphuma bo Titus Chiluba. Bagcina bambophile Kenneth Kaunda because the human spirit always prevails and it rise. You can imagine umuntu nekangaka eAfrika njenga Kenneth Kaunda asaboshwa isuccessor yakhe, but he was put behind bars. Kwasuka bona bo Julius Nyerere batoda makhuluma na Chirubo ukuthi kahle bo siyacela kwaba ukuthi but nakathi abopha mina beningacela nyalo seniyabuya ndokucela. You see, now I'm saying bese ngithi Africa thina sesikhweshile ngoba ema differences kulesinye isikhathi kufanele sibe tolerant to other people's views. Angisho ke ukuthi una ngabe Hon Marwick Khumalo uthembe ukuthi ngeke uboshwe kanti zokugangile, but nakune proof yokuthi ngivandalizile, let that proof be ibe khona. But angasetshenziswa ukuthi mina ngoba sivani sine political esitene. No. And esikhathini esiningi we need to inculcate le culture yokuhlala sikhulumisane etinzabeni lapho khona sibona ukuthi asitiboni ngalisolinye. Sasaphuma lesikhathi sekujabhalatana. Ngiko ngithi bandla lihloniphekile, we are bleeding ngalesimo lesikhona. Sivela i-establishment, sivela abahlonishwa, sivela leave, because ekugcineni bantu, it's natural. Bantu will always feel for the underdog. Angeke babe banengi balandzele wena bangalandzele underdog. It's natural. And then lesimo lesikhona will not be permanent. And then kusasa nasaguquka kwethinto, what do you expect the people to do? Ngiko ngithi lapha kuyadzinga ukuthi le dialogue ibe khona. Uthi ke sisi umbuka njani umuntu ubasifundisile beSouth Africa. ESouth Africa basifundisile ukuthi emabhunu ashasicetha angena la khaya, this was their playground, and many other countries in Africa. But what did we do? ESouth Africa basifuna cha asibuyeni isihlaleni phasi sikhulumisane kufe bantu, ngisho kufe bantu bablewe ngamabhunu. Babe bahlala phasi bakhulumisana kwabuya nabo Sunset Close live lachubeka liyembili just to preach. Ngicela ukungithinza kancane la Sunset Close ukuthi la bengibuka mne ukuthi le position ngiyeva lokuthi sibahlonishwa lenzaba yokuthi kukhethwe prime minister, ukhethwe abantu engudleni. Absolutely, but that position was embraced by the electorate. Njengoba iphuma seyikhuluma lokho. Now bokungakafanele ukuthi bantu bese sekuba icrime ngalokho. Bokufanele ukuthi thina sisembili sithi go back to the drawing board. Sihlangabetana njani nasisimo lesi sithi ema petitions asakhuluma ukuthi singakwadi singabese sesithi no asibulala nene. Asibuyele back to the drawing board. Ulandzele tati ihlava leta no asesihlale phasi. Naba abantu bayachubeka bathi, how do we meet this? Sihlangabetana nawo njani? You know, kukhulunye sibone while abantu bachubeka benda nje. Manje akufuneki lokuthi every day siyavuka sokushiswe kuphi. Every day sokushiswe kuphi. Wo, sekubhame kuphi. Tongo lento leto seyimbilo nje awusethuka ukuthi lamhla ke kushiswe kuphi. Kusasa nje kutabe kuvuka. Kukhona lapho kutabe kubhame khona. Do we encourage that? That is absolutely wrong. Lokushisa nako konke lokulutha is not acceptable. But uyabona into lesongasakhona ukuyicontrol utayithini njengoba yente kanje. So ke isibandla lelihloniphekile lakithi la kaNgwane bekunene inzaba lena lo ngathi unempendulo yayo kude kodwa nje so long as sibalekela kokukhulumisana angisho mina lokukhulumisana ukuthi sitawubita sikhulumisane ngalendlela traditional. We need to adopt indlela ukuthi sikwadi ukukhulumisana, otherwise noma singathini noma singagodlelana sithini ekugcineni tafana sikhulumisana.
Hey asathi ke ukuthi kutawonde kanjani lokho ngoba kude nalolu ufuna ukukhuluma nalabantu. Bantu babhoma bayashisa benda lemihlolo yonke lena is the mere fact ukuthi kude le platform nale outlet to express their concerns. So that's what happens when leaders do not listen to their people. People will demand their attention, and to what extent that will be asati song. Ngicela nilungise my questions. This is my last question. Am I requesting ndawavula is just bengisolonga wathathi nyalo because bese kuba nale feedback from my mic la. Last question to you is, in your article there last month, you strongly advised against should the Emma reforms take the form of a multi-party system. You strongly advised against the revival of Imbokodo. May I ask why?
Oh no, it's quite obvious. Ubobuka lokho ukuthi what happened way back then. You see, Imbokodo, in fact, was that night lo hulumende. If I may add, because Imbokodo, ngicabanga ukuthi it was the most organized government lebe khona lapho. Ngoba that was competitive politics. Bekunalabanye labe bo NLC labe nabo bangakade beki phansi, so nabo nayo they wanted to excel, you see. So kwabangiloko, but what I'm trying to say is naseyiphuma Imbokodo ku first government seyibuya kuma elections seyibuya sekuqhamuka kumile NNLC right. Now I mean NNLC seyiqhamuka as the official opposition in parliament lebe ingakakubheki Imbokodo. That was a source of annoyance. Nekokuthi ke cabanga ke nyalo kube saqhubeka ngaleyo trend. Kunenkosi lapha leya ibite Imbokodo esibayeni. Ya announce ukuthi Imbokodo esibayeni, Imbokodo emabalabala. Yayikhipha yahamba yayowina lukhetho. Seya deplete ke le support yale Mbokodo. Iya ngekuya deplete over the years, over the elections. Sekugcine lokho kuyi-opposition seyiba yi-ruling party. Kanzi bakangwane bebakhipha Imbokodo esibayeni. Itawumaphi inkosi beyitawumaphi ke lapho? Yabona, it would have been suicidal kokuthi vele kuqhubeke ngalendlela ngoba the opposition wetawugcine ukhanza ukuthi seyiba i-majority party noma seyingena ku-coalition nalamanye sebang-government. Kanzi kangwane kuphumene esibayeni kuphume Imbokodo yahamba yohlasela umhlaba ngelukhetho. So all the more reason why then it's very dangerous for the monarch to be in politics, because now ungena kupolitiki nyalo nangavusa Imbokodo utayivusa kuthini utasiyabani awuna-advise noma nje kungasiko ukuthi kumbe ngisonzele enkosini awuna-advise His Majesty ukuthi kube nguye lothi ngisukuma Imbokodo, because that will be suicidal. Nayidliwa le Mbokodo iba kuphi inkosi, you see. It's simply for that reason. So kungqono lokho ukuthi nangabe bayadivukela khona lebayivusa Imbokodo abayivuse nje without necessarily ukuthi bayi-trace back to kaNgwane, ngoba nabangayi-trace kaNgwane the institution is compromised. Trust nayidliwe Imbokodo nale institution seyidliwe seyihamba nayo. That is why mina nangibuka kwami ukuthi badisa le nto yaphatha isilungu elisine kwase sokucamka labo 73 bebabuka kona lokho ngoba lokushowisha kwe-NNLC kuloya mnyaka kwabonakala ukuthi uma ngabe icala kushowisha come next elections itawuphinde ithathela amanye noma sokuchamka linye opposition seyithathela amanye ama-constituencies then le mbokodo lebe yi-majority party seba lite uyabona then that's where I was coming from, sis.
Okay, thank you. I think Sibusiso is still connecting. In the meantime, Angati Noma, yes, Sibusiso, you can go ahead.
Okay,
just so that I can appreciate that. Just the countries.
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think you are speaking to Sibusiso Siaya.
Okay.
So, yes, I want to raise a question. Maybe you will assist Mhlonishwa and anyone who's a speaker. In terms of saying the most urgent question and the most urgent situation we're facing now and will face moving forward is an issue of developing our country. In fact, we are here because it is the issues of underdevelopment that we are facing. Hence, bantu seba sive semaswati sesifika la khona sithi enough is enough. Then, what role does the monarchy stand to play towards development? Because from my experience, maybe limited to the experience let's say facing the prominent role it is in terms of its being a liability to the economy. But maybe you would enlighten me, Mhlonishwa, to say what really is the role of the monarch in terms of development? Does it really, Mhlonishwa, to develop to Emaswati, which will then develop Emaswati to say we can still argue in
Ichubeka man, angisamuva Zandlo.
Yeah, we are Chuwega, but I think we got the gist.
Yeah, I think I did get the gist. I'm sorry, Sibusiso, Siaya Uchubegile, but yes, in Zabai underdevelopment, it is a very sad one. And as we continue singakhulumi, we're sending wrong messages to the outside world, because the outside world would want to come to a very stable political landscape. They would want to contribute to a very labatiko ukuthi no batamba bayolala baphindze bavuke. Nyalo ema-investors ethukile kakhulu. I've been speaking to so many in this country, but because I'm here, none of them have I told ukuthi no. Nabathi no baqabanga ukuthi bona beme nema-expansion program. Abathi no, look bekunene. We are hoping ukuthi simo sitawuguquka. Continue nithi fake imali tethu. But bethuke kakhulu. Into lebengakayibheki la kangwane. Yabo ukuthi kungenteka lokho. So again, nyalo, to bring that investor confidence, we need to sit down and talk. You know, just so that isingabana le development le khona lo ibona ukuthi i-underdeveloped nyalo. And trust me, Sibusiso, it's going to get worse uma ngabe singaqhubeki singakhulumi ngoba once le economy yethu ayisiyo le strong, i-fragile, you know. Now ubuka ukuthi livelihood yethu largely is coming from SACCO. It's not strong. So we cannot thina sinayo le luxury yokuthi no ngeke sikhulume. Thina we have to be seen ukuthi sibone ukuthi silungisa sithini, sibone ukuthi konke kwethu lesikwendako sikwendela kuthini, sikwendela ukuthi le live likhule liqine likhulume. Now you're asking about inzaba ye-liability. Yabona asengikuphendula kanje, Sobhuza bake bambuta inkosi Sobhuza. Bambuta ukuthi no uthini ngalama sanctions. Mhlaba wonke ma-frontline states bayakhuluma ukuthi South Africa should be sanctioned. Khala ama-sanctions wena uvakali lo mabanda lobanzisa imali athi ke yena cha bekunene ngiyaniva uyabona nawusendlini usekoneni kunenhlathu lapha nine la ngaphandle nijikijele ematshi nijikijelela nishaya lenhlathu mina ngilakho ekhaya endlini nalelihlathi nina ningaphandle nijikijela lenhlathu ngibale letamdla kuqala basically that would be my answer to lenzaba ye liability or non-liability ye institution of the monarch, because that is an opinion, let's say, express one, freely, probably i-proximity yakuvumela.
Thank you. Kube ngustaki bese kuba ngifan. Hleli, you can go.
Thank you so much. Libito lami ngihleli Lihlanga. So I had more questions. Siyabonga mhlonishwa ukuthi utende ube available kithi kuze sizokhona ukuthi si-engage nawe. We know it's a very difficult moment. No victimization is possible. Even nalonga khuluma lana just coming here, we know some people have not been forthcoming in taking a stand because they fear victimization. And actually, my first question perhaps speaks to that. Wuti, what makes the other parliamentarians comfortable in staying in parliament or in retaining their position and not expressing messages of solidarity? We've seen only a handful of MPs expressing solidarity with the affected MPs. In other jurisdictions, I'm calling in from Canada, we've seen the culture of resigning in order to shame an oppressive regime. In the context of Canada, the Canadian government may be understood by other people as a very progressive government, and yet some of the people who are within parliament, I know you wonder what this may see some of its conservative and oppressive traits and want to call out even the prime minister and resign and shame the regime for what it is. What precludes the Swazi parliamentarians from doing that, to stand in solidarity with their colleagues? My second question relates to the individual merit basis. I could tell that you are embracing the position that's been taken by the vanguards of the political reform, also known as the three pro-democracy MPs. Personally, I've had questions and concerns about the position that they've taken, because they are proposing, an opportunity to be able to elect their own prime minister with executive powers. But we haven't heard them address the issue of the individual merit basis. What happens about the individual merit basis? Are they embracing other institutions like the political parties? As we know, political parties were banned. What's their position about a political pluralism? Because we know that political pluralism is a viable option, the coexistence of the monarchy and political parties. I'm not necessarily persuaded, unfortunately, on the position of the constitutional monarchy at this point. However, in as much as I'm not persuaded, I do know that if there is a madman who is on a shooting spree, in order to disarm that madman, you have to offer them something. So I do know that we might find ourselves circling for a constitutional monarchy. But what's the position of a constitutional monarchy without an ideological and institutional overhaul? If the opportunity permits, I'll come again and ask about the reconstruction fund and the role of the business society, but I'll just end here for now.
It's so good to hear from you. It's been a while since I laid my eyes on you. But let me say this. First, asengicala ngale ngayo ukuthi bantu banema preferences lehlukene. But for our situation, don't lose sight of the fact that a constitutional monarch, if you choose to do away with the monarch, because I could tell, you are really not happy. I think it's based on what has happened and other things. You are not happy, but you see, you need to think very hard and deep. Thile lamadolobheni, maybe it might say to hlukele, but lemakhaya lapho khona ukhanza ukuthi abantu baningi khona yehlukile futhi. So in politics you balance the situation, because if angubexele 1963 November, I think it was around about 22 nakuthathwa i-referendum. It's in the referendum. It's the referendum. Bantu bakhethe between ilibhubezi nampondompondo. Impondompondo yini reindeer. Kubekwe lethi thombe la ngoba abantu at the time i-education beyiphasi kakhulu. Kuthi nje ukhethe impondompondo nelibhubezi. Obviously bantu baqonze ebhubezini. Bahlaba libhubezi. La wena. Kwakhanza ukuthi laba elibhubezi bathola at the voting age at the time 122,000 at the time. Laba bampondompondo balala kubo 2000 and something. Yes, it is true. But in a situation, you cannot I wish the monarchy away. You know, you need to remember, singasho njalo thina kumbela ku-urban, but le ngaphandle noma sofika that's no ngeke kuvakale. So tinto letinye obotibuka in politics when not to say what I'm actually removing your thoughts, good anjani, or your ideology. I respect that, But in politics, you have to balance the scales. Ubuke ma interest alaband. So, I still believe, it is important that we move with the monarch. See reform le system yakithi. Angeke ngoba nayitawuhlala nayo ingareformi itasilimalela and ngikho ke besithi they should be involved ngoba ngeke, you cannot wish them away. That is a fact. It is a live fact. Even most of the political parties here yebo khona la radical, but loko bayakwati uyabona. Now the three political MPs, there is another thing lefana ukuthi siyehlukanisa. Individual merit ikhona, maybe asiyehlukaniseni sihlukanise ngokuthi there is what we call first past the post education. Bese kuba khona lokungena ngaphathi kodwa ngisiyini nje ngalikhumbula leli gama lokuthi
Mixed systems.
Come again.
You're relating to the majoritarian system, they first past the post, and then the mixed system of proportional representation.
South Africa nje.
Proportional representation.
Exactly. Proportional representation. So individual merit ngawubekisa ngeBotswana. eBotswana bangena ngemaphathi. Nakangena lo muntu wephathi kodwa le kukhethwe yena ngale party yakhe le ku constituency ungena lo muntu yedwana. In South Africa kukhethwa le party kubukwe, that is proportional representation, you see. So ngitama lokwehlukanisa ukuthi singabuki indaba yama political parties in the South African context, but akhona ngakubekisela eMalawi. As I'm talking to you today in Malawi, bantu bangena eParliament, there are 193 wama MPs eMalawi. Kulo 193 sebaphumile emaphathini, the majority independent because of the infighting leba khona in political parties. Ngani ngalesikhathi sokufunwa ukuthi ukhanze ukuthi party tawuthi no thina sikhatha ukuthi la kule nkundla le kuyo Mama Marwick Khumalo. Nase bafika labantu le sekukhethwa mbamba le iparty nominate mina bafika labantu bathi no thina sifuna nangihleli uhlanga, you know, lo beyimkhethile iparty soyaluza. Noma ke angibeke kanje, bathi la it's ba contest Hon Marwick Khumalo nahleli uhlanga, aba contest Hon Marwick nahleli uhlanga fike nje ukuthi iparty ifuna Hon Marwick Khumalo asehleli uhlanga sengiphumile kule nto la. Angisiyo ngisasiwa party sengiyi-independent, ahambe uhlanga alumele lokhetho as an independent manje aluwine ngehluleke mina. Kwendeke njalo eMalawi today. eMalawi ama-political parties maningi but le parliament ngema-independents lalamanengi dlula lalabalethwe ngema-party ngema-scenarios nje longeke wathini. What am I saying? I am saying lama-formulas kude longathi lokho ku-cast in stone, le politiki bese seyadakha yona, lena nje lena hleli angunqenge ubeka phasi umoya. Lena ngidawuthi yebo ngiyakuva ukuthi ibuya nama-MPs lamathathu, lena ngayithola mina ukuthi labantu lengaphandle bayayiva, labantu lengaphandle bayayiva, base babuya-ke laba, then they became ukuthi kufanele bona kube bantu labahamba nayo lento yokuthi bantu basi bafuna ukukhetha Ndvunankhulu. What does that mean? Basi bantu bafuna ukukhetha Ndvunankhulu. Clearly you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know ukuthi bathi bantu bafuna ukukhetha Ndvunankhulu. They're actually saying we want to elect a government of our own. Bokutawufika lapho kufanele kuhlelwe phasi. Uma ngabe kuqalwa ngalokhu kukhethwa kwalo Ndvunankhulu, ludondolo lolo lokwewela kuwelela le, kodwa njengana kulesa kukhuluma lokwakhulunywa eSouth Africa lokwaqalwa nguJoe Slovo wakubeka nakude kwaTinzaba kwasiwa no na i-sunset clause, kwaba lidondolo labawela ngalo nabasuka la kule apartheid lombuso lo kukhanza ukuthi kulukhuni ukuthi bangathi abaningi ka-ANC nabo-PC bathi no sina first one man one vote zibele, kwakhanza ukuthi akulula njengoba bacabanga. They had to come up with the sunset clause. Kwaba lidondolo nje lokwewela. 5 years was short, kwabuya bachubeka ngale ndlela befuna ukuchubeka ngayo lesilo bachubeka ngayo. So I am saying tinto letinye nitende gradually nize newele ngoba nisuka ku-situation lengasiyo longathi ithini i-complex le situation lenisuka kuyo. Ngeke nisuke ukuthi siphuma la singena la kufanele kubeketelele newele kahle. So-ke mina ngicabanga ukuthi maybe lapho siyakhona le nkwatiko iSwaziland ngeke ihlale imile. It cannot continue to mark time. It has to move.
Thank you. It's kutaba ngustaki, kube ngu SGA, kube ngubhuri. Kutaba ngustaki, SGA bese fan.
Yeah. Angibonge kulesi sihlalweni. Cha, ngibonge nakuwe Mbulazi nebakithi ukuthi uvele ngalapha site uthola lwadi. Ligama ngistaki ngwakadlamini. I just have a few comments, then I have a question to you, Tsine Mdunga. I think perhaps one of the things that we might want to look at is how the sunset clause that you are talking about of Joe Slovo, the process of CODESA, the TRC has led South Africa to what it is today. And as Swazis, we must take experiences from that one and avoid some of the things that they did. Because as you build a country, you also take lessons and experiences from others. There are things that we might want to take and things that we might want to skip. Coming to the issue of the institution of the monarchy, I think some of the assertions that you are making, Mdungwa, I would have agreed with them before the 26th of June till today. You know, it's very, very difficult to say we will stay with that institution after a lot of our people are with bullets in their bodies. Labanye basishile emhlabeni, labanye abanawukhona kuhamba kusasa. It's very difficult. I know the South African experience, they had to go through it, TRC, kwaqolelwana. But where did it take them? Because even the problems that we are seeing today is because even the apartheid government didn't come clean on the things that they did to the blacks in South Africa. So that is my worry about the institution of the monarchy and the shape and form that it will take in the future. And also, lenza baye ukuthi labantu labalemakhaya. Of course, I'm not in Swaziland right now, but labantu labalemakhaya bayathanda bukhosi. I think this is something that has been said over the years. But history has taught us ukuthi inkosi ke yabita abantu kulamalanga laphelile. Only a handful showed up. Do you think tomorrow nakungathiwa referendum after political and civic education of the people would still vote the institution of the monarch to be preserved? Perhaps it's a story that we can tell once it happens. Then sibiyakulenza baye dialogue. I want to believe now funa kube netinkhulumo both parties. There must be a political will from both parties to say sitawuhamba siyokhulumisana. Particularly simo lesikhona nyalo ekhatsi eSwatini sithi it's only the progressive forces, including the democracy MPs, that are ready to have a dialogue. The king and the government doesn't even think about the issue of dialogue because bona beva ngathi nje emaswati abhema insango ayahlanya ayikho lento labayifunayo. Then sengigcina thine mbulazi nebakithi. I just want to check, as a seasoned politician who has been there since some of us were doing first year in kindergarten. Gutsi, we saw a few months back, Gutsi, you left with some of the Swazis, the MPs, in a mission to the Republic of China, the mainland China. One would want to check, Gutsi, on that trip, was it a personal mandate? Was it a mandate from your political party, which I believe you are still Secretary General of the Sbahle Sinje? Or the reason why I'm asking this question is, one, you know that one needs to have a mandate as a leader of any society, that you must get a mandate before akale on external missions. And whatever decision that you guys, you honorables, took has a bearing on the future external policy, international policy of the country. Akengigcine lapho thina Mzilikazi.
Shobi, thank you for your interventions. We have said a mouthful on many of the issues, but allow me to respond to each one of them very briefly. Maybe I'm color from the bottom. To China, it was a personal decision yabantu labadzala who have a right to decide where to go, when. So in China, it was basically a familiarization tour of colleagues that was far removed from political. So I would still go there again, given the opportunity. Because ngumdzala, I have a right to move free. Angathi lokho ukuthi le mandate lokhuluma ngayo ngosi bokufanele ngithi asephe ngumdzala ngine passport yokuthi ngihambe anywhere I choose to go on this globe. Now, on the issue of the referendum, we are begging ngiyakuva, and I don't want to take anything away from what you said, because utsite dakungaba ne strong civic education banbadi, then nengabe khona ivumeleke, probably your assertions when it comes to that you may be justified. But if the space asikho leso, how can it happen? I'm not by any means suggesting ukuthi ngiyati emaswati alimele lamaningi alimele inside the country and in the diaspora alimele because babu see where we're coming from, you know, the relationship, the very warm and affection, you know, probably has shifted. Now, having said all that, uthini the institution njengoba uyisho, how can you wish it away? Sengibuda wena uma ngabe wena thina sikhuluma nawe ukuthi in South Africa the freedom fighters, the liberation forces were able, they forced themselves. We don't have a choice. We need to sit down, sikhulume nalaba labakhona etiwa konke labasende khona. Wena ke na uthi you want to wish the institution away, how can you do that? How can you do that? You know, njani? So let us be realistic ukuthi unfortunately lokubuhlungu lokuthi maybe kusengaqaqi kahle lokho ukuthi tinkulumo titawuba khona nini njani, but let nkulumo for the sake of the country kutafanele kwendeke because nasingakwendi the level taqhubeka phasi nale besithi kumbe bayasithanza nabo bokhonko nabo banibani labahleli bo-Broward and everything, utawubona baqala babaleka uma ngabe baphethe kubona sishisa kuba njani ngoba unstable. Kanti lokushisa kwentiwa ngilokuthini bantu ababona indlela le embili. Kungako ke ukuthi asikhulumisaneni kuze kuthi umhlaba utobona ukuthi emaswati asacalile ayakhuluma. Cha just love ngosi, let's agree to disagree. The sunset clause akusiyo lelo khona lamhla eSouth Africa, but at least njengoba ngishito ngibekise ukuthi kwaba lidondolo lokwewela tu lapho sikhona khona ngoba na ukhumbula kahle laba labanye bebathi kude into lesitayikhuluma nalabantu lapha bagange ngelive lethu laba abakhweshe kube one man one vote. Kodwa ke kwakhanza ukuthi sekune stalemate ngoba nalabo basasiyinzawo sikhuluma kwase kubuya ke lesanti cha asingene nisonke ku government of national unity. So is situation complex ifuna kuqatshangwa nihlatiye niyibuke. That is why earlier on ukhumbula kahle ngiqala ukukhuluma ngikhulume ngako lo ukuthi la khaya la bokufanele ukuthi nathi thina lesithi ngibekise kumbe ama political parties sihlale phasi ukuthi okay, we cannot take up arms against this. Sesiboycottile tingetho sathi boycotta tingetho tendlula tingetho. What next do we do? Asidle mathambo engqondo. The system le kudzinga ukuthi siyipenetrate. Sinipenetrate kanje siyiplanele. Manje ke you know, hey ngiko ngithi kulokunye bonkosi sitabe solo sibuka lokho ukuthi no kunjani iqiniso lithi nyalo ke angasingaye nyalo no ngishito ngathi lapho siqale khona maye bokungqona nyalo sekuyasabeka akusasilula sekulisika. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Mhlonishwa. Staucela ukuthi please try and keep your questions short and sekusele. We're just under an hour now, so we're really just going to try and keep it short so that bantu bathole mathuba. Mcebo ngiyazama ukungenisa akukhoni kuphele kuthi connecting, so angathi maybe you want to come out ubuye futhi if you are struggling to come through as a speaker ngicela uphume uphinze ungene and request. Thank you. So now it's going to be kutawuba ngu fan bese kuba ngu Buri and then kuba crucifix. Is it crucifix? Crucified. Thank you.
Sanibonani Maswati, sawubona Babe Khumalo Ntunga.
Yebo.
Siyabonga for opportunity ukuthi wenda isikhathi ukuthi utekto khuluma nathi. What I just want to make statements like two and then maybe ask a question.
Please try
Looking
and be quick. Please try and be quick.
Yeah, I am trying. I think Swatini is underdeveloped, not because imali ayiko or it's not there. We could have been in a better state than lesimo lesigiso, but imali isebenziswe ngendlela lengekho right, and it killed a lot of Swazis lento ye nepotism lapho eSwatini yekuthi you get a job or uthola ibasari or ungena emsebentini ngekuthi wati bani or you are related to who, and it made us as Swazis to believe ukuthi we can achieve certain things or we're not capable of achieving tinto, and I think ngabe sesikashane silive. My question, or just to add, nalento le yokubhena kwama-political parties, it has made amaSwati to be ukuthi bangadi ngepolitiki. Hence, we didn't know ukuthi like this is wrong. Sicindzelekile, and this things shouldn't be going the way lethamba ngakhona. Then my question, Andungwa, would be, Guti, do you think the respect, noma the culture yetu, as a Maswati lesatiwa ngakuthi, were known to be respectful people or people who are peaceful, has affected us? Guti namuhla wa in the situation lesigiyo lesestikhanza kiyo guti live lethu liyasha. Thank you.
Ngiyabonga sisi umbuto wakho. Maybe in a way kulesinye isikhathi maybe sihloniphe kakhulu lokuhlonipha kwasokuthatheka ukuthi kumbe sekuhambisana nebulima nekusindwa sidibone. Maybe that's ungaba right kuloko. I don't even want to dilute your observation because you may be right, you know. But inhlonipho yona nje as a standalone ngicabanga ukuthi yindvo lokubona saka ukuthi needs to be encouraged. But ngilapha nase misconstrued, you know, ukhanze ukuthi kumbe sasibukela ka ukuthi no. No lokuthi babukeke banjena ngilokuthi sibathile. Yes, kuyinhlanhla lembi sisi ukuthi konke lokho eMaswati they have been depoliticized for a very long time, you know, kulokushiko kuwelo kujana. But ke kuba politicized kwabantu sengibonile in the recent past, just in the recent past. Akubathatha isikhathi esingakanani. Everybody now is politically alive and politically awake and politically charged. Ngiyamangala. I mean, now ubona ngisho abantu labadzala taking an active role, you know, in kukhuluma ndzaba tepolitiki. Why? Because lesimo lesendekile abasade eMaswati. Ngisho nalabekalele aphumlile athuka asukumile ahlala ngetibungu. Kanti kodekani kusasengilakisi lelive. But etikoko konke lokho sokwendekile konke lokho. Qiniso lithi kude longasheya kude usilongasheya ngilongasheya longa nangabe sikhulumela lelive ukuze ukuthi liphefumule ukuze ukuthi liphile. We need to reach out. Yes, uqinisile khona abelobhuti nginathi bengikhuluma naye earlier on la. Uthi no, but the other part we need to make means to reach out. Sikhulumisaneni because nasingakhulumisani the level tawubhubha and we'll all die. Sife njengekulima because uNkulunkulu wasinika italent ingqondo ukuthi sikwazi ku-analyze into sikhulumisana. Maybe we need to sendele indlela nathi yekwakuthi to reach ngoba ingxenye ngawubekisa sitawubheka la ukuthi hey sikhathi inkosi noma sikhathi lo mfana wayo letha mthumba kuthi hey akube kuyokuthi nakungendeki lokho what do we do? What do we do? We need to sibuka ama-strategies ukuthi how do we get there lapha eMthanzeni lapho khona inkosi khona. Oh wena ngunene siyacela ukuthi sesitokuvusela nganathi tinzama kube naleyo ndlela kulesi sikhathi ngihlengiva abakangwane bakhuluma nga-respect yehluleke ke nayo kepha-ke iqiniso lithi vele bekunene nangathi nami nginempendulo angidlala ngani. I don't have. Ngiyabeka nje nami njengendoda elibandla. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you. Kutawuba ngu Crucified, Thandeka, and then Mcebo. Crucified. Crucified. Okay, you Thandeka, go, and then kube ngumcebo.
Siyavusela. Hello.
Hello.
Siyavusela, siyabonga Mlunga kusinika i-chance. I just wanted to find out ukuthi ubinzeleni kangaka eParliament because kunebantfu laba incarcerated, which are the MPs. They hold the same position that you hold. By incarcerated, you haven't been seen saying anything or doing anything about it, you know. Ngifuna kuva ukuthi because you are a seasoned and a very experienced politician. Ngifuna kuva ukuthi lokubinza kwakho kusho ukuthi sibahle sinje udecide ukuthi akafuni ukutifaka kulama MPs lalwela sive, because I can assure you and I can tell you now kude umuntu loyuth losasijabulela lesimo. People were killed. Kunemfana lengikhule naye Msimisi Mkhwanazi. He was shot right close to my house. And I'm asking, kuthi ubinze mhlonishwa, kocha uyakhona kuta space, ute kutos astresa, but awukhoni kusupporta nawe MPs that are fighting for what's right. Why are you quiet? Ngicela kuqina.
Mhlonishwa.
Cha sisiyayithatha manje le submission yakho, even though it's coming from an uninformed position, but I love it. Since I came to Parliament, anginayo le talent yakubinza. Yokuthi nje ngibinze. And two, be reminded ukuthi eParliament noma ngabe ngingilunga lesive singaba, which I am by the way. But ngayiswa abantu bakalobamba lomtsala and I represent them fully. Now, ngicabanga ukuthi because of reasons of proximity, you're not so much well informed about what transpires in our parliament. Just to help you understand, after this incident, no mangisi before this incident, in fact, I think you'll remember at some point I was out of the country when my colleagues were called sellouts and all that. I was out of the country, I was not in Parliament. But when I came back, I'm the one who spoke Kuti, lapha asigeti la as i-party la parliament, asigeti ukuthi si-representa ungathi uthi sell out ngoba zophume ku-protocol ye-one party state. La parliament ngiloyo muntu utidele ngeke-ke kusuke kukhona ama-sell out umuntu nathi khulume nomqondo wakhe. I did that. On the day when the new prime minister came to office, I'm the one who stood up in parliament to say, labantu babulawelani. Why is your government killing the people? Why are you killing people ngokuthi ba-exercise i-right? So according to you, kubinza lokho. I can give you many instances. My dear sister, I came to parliament not to be a church mouse. That is not a synagogue. It's a place, yakuluma, and I will speak until I leave. Maybe don't expect me ukuthi ngikhulume lesokukhulunywa ngilomunye, because I don't want to sound boring. But ubongibuda ke bese soyabuda ukuthi, do you support lokho lokukhulunywe nguzibani banyana? That is when then you'll get me. Thank you.
Ngiyawabona ama request wenu. What I've picked up, which we release a few people to add a new speaker. So Naso Kulmile, please let go of the mic so that other people get a chance. Everyone wants to speak. Kutaba ngu Crucified, are you back? Oh, you are just hogging the mic. Okay. Kutaba ngu Mcebo, kube ngu Sfiso, and then Jabliso.
Thank you, moderate. I think I'm audible. Ngicebo gadlela ngila itulo tinsabeni kubulunga. Thank you Mdunga for your time. Ngiloku ngulalele nje since the beginning of this space. You've emphasized kuloku mhlawumbe wakuveta phambilini ukuthi you think we should keep the monarch as an institution, and also you really believe ukuthi emaswati le emuva emakhaya nakuthiwa le emuva emakhaya kubalwa la kunathi khona la ngikhona khona nje enyaka ukuthi they still love the king. Kumbe
Angasho njalo Blunga. Ungangikhulumela ngasho njalo. Chubeka kodwa nakuphendula gadlela.
kumbe Mdunga umuntu angafuna kwathi lapha ukuthi since le system yetinkundla lekhona ngabe vele lokuthola lamaphimbo nale mivo yalabantu kulula kanganani kule system lesinayo nyalo, and also how easy it is to hold you MPs accountable uma ngabe sesingasavumelani mhlawumbe sekungasasiko leli sikuthume kona. Kumbe lokunye lesingakuveta ngilokuthi sine lamaswati lesila emva emakhaya lesihluphekile. Lo muntu lokuthiwa solo siyamthanza ngoba sisatshiswa ngenhlonipho, sifuna kwenta kucace lokuthi asisamthanzi because of what he's doing to us. And also ngicabanga ukuthi kini Mdunga njengoba uvetile ekuqaleni ukuthi you've been in parliament since 1998. Njengemuntu lo msha ke mne 1998 bengisalangadelela kuya ka grade 1. So I don't understand ukuthi thine lesekungithi nyalo umlibalo uyaphambili. So lokuthiwa sithanza le monarch. Nguphi la sitawuveta khona lokuthi le institution asisayifuni vele, because many of us lezi singasayifuni le institution because of what it's doing to us. And lenzaba inhlonipho Mdunga angathi ukuthi singake siyende njani, because a lot of these old guys they'll always remind you ukuthi bona kufuna ukuthi ubahloniphe na uba address, even if they don't deserve to be addressed but deserve to be redressed. They'll always demand respect where it's not even wanted. Thank you.
Gadlela, ngiyathi ukuthi awabheka ukuthi ngikuphe kuningi ukhuluma ubuhlungu bakho ne-opinion yakho nema-views akho really, which I have to respect kokuthi wena awusayithandi i-monarch. But let's ngakukhumbula engakusho nje kungaba ukuthi ma-rural areas are quite wide, and I know ukuthi ngishito futhi ngaphinze ngasho la ngokuthi i-youth angibekisi nje ngebantu, i-electorate in this country is so much political awake now than it was probably 5 years ago because of the recent developments that have taken place in this country. Unfortunately, kufike kwaba lukhuni kubantu kubona lokhu lokwendekile. So uthitelo omunye, I am not too sure uma ngathatha i-referendum lamuhla about then zaba lisho ukuthi ngaba njani. Ngathi hey, I wouldn't know, maybe ngahamba ngale ndlela yakho loyibona ngayo. So angingangeni kakhulu kulama observations ngoba i-observation yakho le ukuthi no naloko ukuthi ke vele hey kona kulula bekunene, kepha ke ngiyakuva kahlela lapha nawuthi sibhekephi, siyaphi, sitawuphuma sibhekephi nyalo kuze kuthi kutholakale ukuthi lama voices siyawathola. Honest truth is this, kulukhuni ukuthi ungaya anywhere utothi no sesiyabonga ku leadership yelive lekhona because ngisho naselikhethweni akugeneki lokho. But ngicabanga ukuthi mina ngendlela lesiyibuka ngayo isimple dayingangena kulabasibili evele the system ayireforme ngoba konke lento likhulumako usansayiva institution yemonarchy beyingitolo beyinjani lamhla vele seniyabonga. It's because of lento lesishoko ukuthi politics is messy. The institution needs to remove itself from nakulekuko. I don't have to tell you what happened kubongilandi ngabo 1642 or there was no institution monarch. Yaphinze yalandwa yabuyiswa sayibuyiswa in this reformed say in a facelift, they say reformed, say constitutional ushito lo mitolo la ukuthi baze bayijuba uyabona. We don't have to go that far. Ngiko ngithi liqiniso liphelele bakangwane solo siyancenga siyancusa abakubona kufanele ukuthi inzaba yema reforms it's no longer an option, it's a must happen. There's no way about it because la blendo tawushintsha lesimo akusiko ukuthi siphuma kona kube njanjanyana, but lesimo sesibita ukuthi ikakhulu kulokwendekile lama reforms aswendeni kuze kuthi the politics inikedwe labantu because politics is people's business. Ngalokuthi kunemali yebantu, bantu imali yabo bayifela. Manje kungako konke lokukhuluma lokho. Ngiyabona siyabona kahle.
Kutaba nguSifiso kube ngeSwatini alternative bese kuba ngumncedisi. Sifiso, you can go.
Yes, sivusele kumhleli, sivusele la kumhlonishwa msindikazi.
Yebo.
Angadi noma lento akubuta sakuphendulekile ni but nje utawusho nangabe bese ku-addressekile. Mina ngicela kubuta mhlonishwa ukuthi nibahlonishwe eParliament because seemingly it's business as usual. Ngabe kukhona ndeni kwendako in solidarity with lama MPs laboshiwe nalena legcwele umena ngoba sisikatsile kunibona kukhona leni kwendako but kusengabonakali. So sengithatha ngibude nje usabe kukhona niveleni kwendako nje ukukhomba lokuthi anisiko happy ngalaba labasolo basejele naloku solo kupostpone kwelicala labo labasolo bangibona bamahlahlandlela kulendzaba ye democracy mhlonishwa. Ngiyabonga.
Ngiyabonga Phothiso. Bandla lelihloniphekile. eParliament kunemithetho lebhalwe phansi. Unfortunately, once indzaba yaba senkantolo, awukwati kusukuma eParliament uyikhulume indzaba yaba senkantolo. But as for ukuthi kukhona yini labakwendako, maybe ngasi labanye bahlonishwa, I will boldly say I'm aware ukuthi kukhona labakwendako. But kuthi utakuthatha indzaba uthi batakusukumisa bakutshela ukuthi no, lo mthetho lo wangena wawufungela uthi indzaba yaba senkantolo wena awuyikhulumisi la Parliament. That matter is sub judice. So kepha-ke ngishito njalo, tikhona tindlela tekufaka indzaba ukhanze seyingena. Uke wakutsinza nje lo munye umhlonishwa Timothy Myeni wale lokujana. Kepha-ke bear one thing in mind, beyisengakafiki esigabeni sekuthi seyisenkantolo, beyisaya enkantolo. Ngithi nje-ke asicacise some of these things takhiwa tingama-perimeters around which we operate or within which we operate.
But you are doing something, Mhlonishwa. Bakhona la benda something.
I am aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any alternative ideas? Kube ngumncedisi and then kube ngusonga.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu losesihlalweni. Ngivusele kuMntungwa, ngivusele kuwe Mzilikazi. Ngithembe ukuthi inthambama yakho ibe yinhle. Ngivusele nawo onke amaswati lamahle lakalana.
Siyabonga.
Cha kwami kutawucala nje nge-comment and then maybe lokunye kutawuthatha sa question ngasekugcineni. I think I seem to appreciate your contribution to be making a rather using the word monarchy as an institution and the king as an individual rather interchangeably. And it seems that maybe we may need to do more to educate our people, perhaps including yourself and other members of parliament, that the institution of the monarchy is not King Mswati III as an individual. King Mswati is an occupier of the office presently. And also, by extension, we've got to separate Tinkundla as a political system which the monarchy uses to the benefit of royalty as a whole. And we separate also the King Mswati III as a very bad king. And also separate again the institution of the monarchy, which has got tentacles at different facets of the country, right from a community level to a tool. So for that reason, it helps when we separate the three things so that we can know where the problem is. Is the problem King Mswati III as an individual because he's spendthrift, he's not politically clued up, he's not so educated, and maybe he's arrogant? That is the individual occupying the office presently. Is that the problem? Or if the problem is the institution of the monarchy in all its tentacles at the community level, and all of these institutions that have been created over time by the institution. So I see when you talk about people love the monarchy, what do they love? They love the king as an individual, or they love the institution with all its tentacles politically, economically, and otherwise. That interchanging of the name institution of the monarchy and King Mswati makes it confusing. Do they love the king, Mswati III, or Makhosetive, or they like the institution? Now, that's one part that I thought I wanted to clarify, at least for purposes of our discussions going forward. The second thing is that also you seem to be very much infatuated with the idea of the monarchy, that the people love the monarchy. Maybe you can't discuss whether the people love the monarchy without discussing what do they love, the individual called King Mswati III, or the institution called monarchy, or perhaps to a large extent the political system created by royalty called Tinkundla. because those are three separate things. So I always ask myself, when people love the monarchy, what do they love exactly? So maybe we must go deeper when we talk about what the people love. And linked to this, I must go to the second point, that you seem to suggest that a lot of people in the community love the king, they love the institution of the monarchy and all of that. I think we need to balance it up, Ziligazi, with the ukuthi phela noma ngabe abantu bayayithanda into le wrong. We who have seen better, who have known better, we are not precluded from agitating, from persuading, from educating the people. I'll give you an example. If you said today you want to go on a referendum whether gays and lesbians should be allowed, the people are not educated enough to know that people have a right to their sexual orientation. So you've got to make a balance around what are the things that you will need an express opinion of everyone, in the same way that you also need to educate the people. For example, I can give another example. When people talk about capital punishment, if you go to the street today and you say, what should you do with criminals? People will say we must kill them. But we now know that everyone has a right to life, and our responsibility is to educate the people, is to make them aware and to agitate for an alternative thinking and an alternative society. We can't be caged by the notion that some people somewhere, unverified science that people say they love. Who has quantified that? Who has said he's done data, he's done research and determined that these people bayayithanda monarchy? I think that is always my confusion with the people who say, because people say they love the monarchy, and therefore we must continue with what with the status quo and just prune it here and there. And then I also thought earlier you spoke about an interesting point about the electoral system. You see, and I understand that you are more reformist. So you are a Marwick Khumalo that you are Mfumfu Nkambule that went to a private school. Basically, you're of the same mind, that you believe that we must shout to the king, we must beg the king for change. It has never happened in Ndung. Not anywhere in history where people have left power just because of the goodness of their heart, or sebevunga ukuthi sebabakhalele kakhulu, or sebevunga ukuthi there's a lot of people who are making noise. Power by its very nature is contested, and people don't give up power because it's not just about the political system. It's also about, in essence, you're saying to King Swati III, he's not going to have control over economy, over TBO, over Tisuga, over land, over all of these businesses. He's going to go and ask from a government. Even I would be stupid to want to give up that. Hence, it's always been our approach to say we have to spend more energy making people have the capacity and the will and the zeal to fight for change than to beg the king for it. And I am really not convinced in Ndungwa ukuthi we must really go cap in hand thinking that the king is going to change. It has never happened in history. It will never happen. And I think people like you are perhaps fatally mistaken to think the monarchy must reform. The king will never reform as an individual and as an institution, even if he wanted to, even if he wanted to. There are a lot of these people who benefit from the current system in the economy, internationally. So there are many issues at play here. This is the struggle. This is about who has got power at what point and how do they exercise that power. And I say good luck to people like yourself and Smahle Sinje and many others who think they can convince the king to change. Perhaps one day you'll appreciate that change is not just about handing over power. It's also about the economy. Who controls the economy and for what benefit? And for us, a majority of people, we have put our heads on the sand to say we don't want to listen what the king thinks. We want to focus entirely to the people, educate them, inform them, organize them, so that once the people can go to the king and demand change, then the king will be forced to negotiate with the people. Because at this point, I don't think he even thinks about negotiation. And at this point, I don't even think he's even thinking about giving some small tap. Even if we were to assume you are correct, Ndungwa, the king can be persuaded, how do you get to the monarchy position through negotiation? Because negotiations by this very nature is about give and take. If your first point of reference is to say you want a constitutional monarch, then if the king has got to keep something and give in something, what are you going to get? Because the point is you ask for the head so that you can get somewhere around the moon. Start for the sun, demand a republic, and then when you negotiate, you can get into the constitutional monarch. I don't see how it's going to work, Ndungwa, but good luck with your team and Yonang, and you're a good man. I hope you succeed.
Utangicabanisa nebandlu alternative. Awuqethi. Yes, Mhlonishwa.
No, this is very interesting. Very, very interesting. And lengikuthanda lengicela kusho unako. Manje-ke alternative songishiye ehlathini. Akasasho ukuthi konke lokhu yena ubona ukuthi indlela etabu yakhona asingakakhulumi ngiyiphi. Ngoba ngimvile emuva sokhuluma ngeRepublic manje akasho sifika kanjani le Republic. You see. Sifika kanjani le Republic ungishiye ehlathini ke lapho. Say konke lokho kuya discount but let me say this. Ngishito earlier on ngathi angifuni ukuthi kuhambe ngokuthi Marwick Khumalo uthi abantu bayithanda imonarch. No. What I'm trying to say is simply ngivumelene nanguya lothi I am not too sure ukuthi lamuhla la ungayithatha le referendum lamuhla itawuphuma ikusho yini lokho. You see? But ngajinge ngasho ngathi ngabekisa ngathi itolo le ngabo 63 kwaphuma kuthi lamuhla ungakhanza ukuthi it will be the other way around engcenye. No one can predict that. And lo mnye uzwabekisa enzaba esibaya in the other day ngokuthi sibaya abantu abakayi I think noma nglamuhla isengikhohliwe. But fact of the matter is nangabe singakhulumi ukuthi ukukhulumiswane what else? Are we saying revolution is the answer? How are you going to institute it? Oh, because the revolution it's more bloodshed. The lens lamhla sikhala ngako lamuhla. Ukuthi no, we've lost our own fine souls, our own flesh and blood. So nangabe sithi ke singakakhulumi ngiyeva ukuthi ngeke kukhulunywe. Maybe she's right. Ngeke kukhulunywe. Then ekugcineni ke kusho ukuthi vele kutawufiwa. So should we go there with our eyes open? Ukuthi siyak revolution? I'm not persuaded. Cinema brains kufanele sibukela amanye alternatives. Sibancane kakhulu ukuthi singakhuluma ukuthi asibulala nini. Yes, ngiyavuma kokuthi diningi indlela tekula but nasikhuluma silapha kashana singabuyi nalama solutions kutaba likhona ukuthi sisi explore indlela. So lokukhuluma ne-attachment unginike lecture sisilapha siyakwathi konke la kusho ukuthi institution kusho ukuthini ingosi kusho ukuthini that we know khuluma nge-constitutional monarch sikhuluma ngale institution because I believe ukuthi institution nangabe ibekeleke kahle yaba khona kahle the institution will continue to be there uma ngabe properly structured but uma ngabe inga reform ingabe properly structured it's dangerous so ke bekunene ngithi lokho asikuboneni ukuthi tinkundla kushito mina ngizabe netinkundla ngase saligama earlier on maybe abasengakajoyini ukuthi setijike nyalo taba yinuna kusasiko lokhu nakabuta lomunye ukuthi kwaze kushonaphi lokho oqala nakhathi ngeke sekwashintsha kusho mina ukuthi ijike taba yinuna ngasebenzisa ligama lenuna ngikhuluma from a privileged position because I've been a practitioner of the system. I know and I can see lapho uhambe khona usinonyalo seyiyayela itolo bongileta inkundla tinabo Albert Shabangu nabo babeshayisa edolo kunabo Athakoza political stalwarts of this country bengintona let baseva yona le system lesimo besimo came one man waqala ushonisa phansi lomkhumbi kwahamba slippery slope nyalo siphansi sisemawukeleni that is a fact bekungasinje edolo but lento seyishintshe for the worse. Some of us have been there and we know. So simo vele bekunene siya ngekuya lokunye ukhanze usawuqa kwangathi kuyasebenzeka bese sekuhamba kuyalo kwanyana nyalo lento lese lo mshini lo khona wepolitiki kulelive sekude kahle hle nawubo kahle laba udefender kude labakhulumako bakhuluma lip service. I am telling you, hlala lapha eparliament kude nje ipolitician ukulaba labakhona losukuma athi no ngiyawathi uhamba la no sesikhuluma lip service because you know sicashiwe kude nje lo ngayikhuluma lenza phela ngiko ngisike into letinjalo kuyafuna bese kuyareforma live litoqhubeka liyembili kuze kuthi nebantu bangaphandle labafuna nokutosita nema-partners nema-development partners babone ukuthi no labantu laba lento yabo bayifisela iqhubeke yembili lokhu usakhulumela lipalishi ukhuluma ukuthi sisafuna lipalishi sidlale akusadlalwa nyalo sesiphelele isikhathi sekudlala. This is serious. Le live liyasilimalela. Thank you.
Thank you, Mhlonishwa. Just before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge Alex Humphreys, a BBC journalist in the UK who's with us here, who's listening in. Angathi ke utasiva njani because siyatikhulumela. So he's here. Welcome, Alex. Thanks for joining us. Now kutawuba ngumncedisi, kube ngubhuri, bese kuba nguMayibongwe. Thank you. Mncedisi.
Thank you very much, host. Ngibingelele nalapha kumhlonishwa Khumalo. I'll start ngokwenda i-comment nje kuqala, and then some other questions have been addressed, and then I'll have to ask 2 more questions. Lapha kuqala kwalama reforms lawa ema MPs ethu akhulume ngekuthi sicela ukuthi sikhethe prime minister with executive powers. Yeah. Initially I was for that idea as well. Ukuthi no, yeah, bukhosi bu right bube khona bube lapha, but you know sichuzele ilona sichuzele our prime minister. But now looking at the response of bukhosi bethu to the public, ngifike lami lapho khona ngithi no, away ngale bukhosi le into let us sita la ukuthi live should be a republic, because vele bukhosi bethu besibuthanza. I don't know, I'm not so sure if besendiwa we have been made to like it,
yeah,
or it just came naturally. I'm not sure, but now they have portrayed bukhosi bethu portrayed a very clear picture kwekuthi sitendi sabo sikuphi nathi njengesive. So as it is of now, it is pretty clear bukhosi buyasizonda sisive bucabangela bona. So ndzaba yabo alisabsebenzi. I would advocate for a republic. Now coming to ilo a question, my first question, umhlonishwa ngiyamova la is one advocate.
We've got 15 minutes and there are a lot of people who requested.
All right, thank you very much. Umhlonishwa is an advocate for ilona dialogue. It has been pretty clear that we khulunywa every now and then our MPs and asking for a dialogue, but because they have never showed up for a dialogue. Engabe umhlonishwa uyabona indvele bukhosi buyamukela lendaba ye dialogue. Uma bunga EMP yami, yes, ingaboni ingabe iyiphi ma advices la ngawanika ke emaswati as a way forward, because mina ngekubuka kwami angibaboni bukhosi bamukela I dialogue kuthi akhulunyiswane. The second one ngule propaganda yetinkundla system ukuthi inkundla system kubonakala at some point bubonakala community MPs community developers, and at some other point legislators. So that is propaganda. Engabeke umhlonishwa since angimuva akhuluma clear ngekuthi about politics. When the nomhlonishwa ku addressa le propaganda le yale tinkundla le ngoba legislators or community developers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your intervention. Siyabonga. We have also come to learn here, really. Siyabonga kakhulu. I respect your views, and I don't want to dilute it with my comments for or against. You know, let me just leave it as is. We'll see. You got me thinking. Now, see, we were made to like it. You know. These are views. Now, we have very strong views. No, nyalo sang for a republic. I respect that. I cannot comment because if you have. But let me just come to the issue, a dialogue, and what is the alternative. Ngiyayisaba the alternative because now we dialogue ingekho etafuleni. I don't want even to think about the alternative because ngiyayisaba angisho njalo. Ngiyayisabela live, ngiyasabela abantu abakini nebakithi, ngiyasabela abadala bami, labalala nebakho. Ngiyayisaba nje le alternative because i-alternative kude lot so nangabe kungasasiyi dialogue, therefore kusho ukuthi nginako lo viable ngile dialogue. Nangabe kungekho le dialogue etafuleni, anything else is not viable. Nangisayisi viable ngisho ukuthi seku out of control. Uyabona sekude ukuthi ungakwenda sekugijimela so out of control. That is why it's nice. Now, let me just get back to issue of community developers versus legislators. I've always disagreed with this kind of notion because in Kasagutsi, people, they don't understand because even in a strong multi-party government, when the party you win a whole man, you manifest like kuluma development position ya leo party ukuthi ukabanga ukuthi lelive wena utal mix up. The other day I was reading I manifesto yembokodo le yathatha hulumende ngalesa sikhathi, and then I read the manifesto ye Congress. Now ubuka lendlela labantu bebat position ngayo babeke ngayo ba contesting for power. It's amazing. This is what they're going to do for nabathatha le leave. Kude lokunye ukuthi bowufika eParliament ushaya umthetho kuphela. Uyofika ukhulume ngedevelopment ukuthi uyowendani na uthatha wena. So, in our situation, we go to Parliament as individuals. You will not win an election. Uma ngabe utawufika uthi mina lapha ngidela kuba legislator kushaya umthetho and that's it. Labantu labakhethelele bahlupheka, there are issues of development. You don't win an election as an individual uma ngabe i-development agenda ingekho etafuleni. You don't win an election as a political party uma ngabe i-development agenda yakho ingasi clear, ingasi incorporated clearly ku-manifesto yakho. So I don't want to separate the two because, you know, go to legislature and community development. These things are intertwined. Thank you.
There's going to be Buri, Ushi, and then Swazi. Buri.
Oh, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead. Please make it snappy.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mhlonishwa, for giving us your time. We really appreciate that. So long, Mhlonishwa, you stating your point in the way you see things. I'd like to request that you listen to our point. I'll just put my point, which I feel like the people around me, it's what we discuss about. According to us, you see, the way you see the things, you still think the king wants this.
Sorry,
Yes.
sorry, uyakhatheka mana ngiva kahle kanti ngathi we are raising some pertinent points.
Yes.
Can we please asotame kwenda kancane man, ngifuna ukuva usisi.
Okay. Is it my network or nangiphamselile?
Manje uqhubeke bhuti.
Okay. Yes. According to us, I don't see a way of a dialogue coming from the side of the monarch. The way when they are corner, we experiencing the West as Nana. Each and every now and then you'll hear a gunshot. Now and then. This is war. The people are fighting us. I want you to realize that the people are fighting us. This is torture. This is not nice. This is not. We're not talking about something that we want. We want now. This thing has been going on for a long time. Our funds have been looted, and the anger that we are being exposed to as we are still waiting for dialogue, it's not okay. I want you to feel the pain that we have, the anger that the monarch is exposed to us. We don't want to be a generation that becomes violent. We are a known generation that listens and understands each other. We are a known generation of peace. So what we are becoming, because I can see from your perspective, you want us to calm down, and how can we calm down if someone is busy firing gunshots outside now as I'm speaking? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do as the people of Eswatini? What is it that we're supposed to do? Our minister, our members of parliament are in jail as we speak. This thing has been going on for 20 years. Do you think no one has gone to the monarch and advised them? They've done that many times. There's nothing that's going to help if we're going to sit down with this person. We need to find a way that will affect him. Thank you.
Thank
Bore, you are an example of Maswati la kwatile. Not to say Gutsi, we have not been hurt. We are all hurt. Things that have happened in the recent past are hurting. And they do provoke a very strong sense of anger. There's not two way about that. That is a fact of life, you know. But yes, weapons we are shows. It's frustrating. Yes. The pictures we still have. But then ekugcineni kwako konke kuyadingeka ukuthi sihlale phansi ukuthi naku lobo ukwenda kwendeke kuyinhlanhla lembi uma ngabe kutawugcina kungekendeki kusisikhulumisaneni, because ngalesikhathi kugcina kungakendeki, I repeat, angifisi the alternative. Angifisi. I am still hopeful. I'm a pragmatist, by the way. Ukuthi kutawugcina kwendekile, but when, that is the problem, because we don't have much time. It's something that should happen very soon. And these kind of interventions from far and wide are not for nothing, because the country is listening. Sinesikhona la labanye benu labaningi bakhona la kuleyo, labanye benu abekho la kuleyo, but iqiniso linye lokusibhayindayo singemaswati. So lokho leni kukhulumako, it's not worthless. Kutawuvakala, but let's remain hopeful kokuthi le dialogue ngiyona siyidzinga. Ngisho nemuntu lokuphethe kabi kuyadzinga ekugcineni mhlale phansi ukuthi ngangikwendele nakathi ungenda lokhu nalokhu nalokhu, sihlale sikhulumisane, bese-ke nasesikhulumisane lokho bese okay, no, kulungile mngani wami, kunjanjanyana. Imiphefumulo ngeke siyilanze, but imiphefumulo iyakhuluma. So nangabe solo singakhulumisani, kungabuyi kukhulunywe kahle, kondwethe into takhona nemnandiso nemniningwane yakhona, kuyohlala solo kubi. That is my view. Kepha-ke bekunene, my views are just my views. Ngibalekela lokho ukuthi nasingayi dialogue then siyakuphi, siyekufeni. Thank you.
Thank you, Mhlonishwa. Kutawuba Ushi, Swazi, and lastly Trench Town. Guys, please be cognizant of the time. Thank you. Ushi.
Kasekho.
Ushi. Hawa, uthathela abantu isikhathi. Ushi. Okay. Trench Town.
Yeah, ngikhona. Lishonile Maswati, lishonile nawe Mtseshi lo seNgilandi. Umbuto wami ngiyamuva umuntu ngayakhuluma la, ukhuluma ngedialogue. How many years has the progressive been calling for a dialogue? And let dialogue ngimele ichambe ngakubani? Because all these years solo sicela dialogue kuze kuyashiswa nje. Solo kuqala le dialogue akafuni. But now when Mhlonishwa, who has been in parliament for I don't know how many years, we are still calling for a dialogue. If we remember very well, the only MP who has been vocal kule parliament endlulile, it was Mfo Nkambule. The rest of y'all were useless MPs, busy saying a lot of nothing, busy in parliament. And now you've got the nerve to come here and tell us about dialogue. Kube kufa abantu kepha as if le dialogue thine bantu the progressive asifuni. Seyifuna le dialogue. So you cannot tell about something lesifuna ukuthi asiqhubeke nayo. Yabo. So ngicela usimane usichushise on something else, ungasitsheli ngedialogue lesifunako lesinganikwa yona i-round table kade siyibita, but solo asinikwa i-round table. And lastly, I don't know if to sound okay, no, let me not ask this one. Thank you.
Trench Town in the UK. Thank you very much for your intervention. Ngidlalile lapha kokuthi to field questions. And again, being a politician, I'm used to being dissected, even if kude bengakuthatha ngasencele ukuthi uyatimuka nje wena emamaki ukuthi unguthi lofuna ukungibuta, but kapha ke la ngakusho, it's simple. This is my opinion. Nenza bedalo. It's again. Also get Trench Town. For years I've been waiting for dialogue. Okay. If you have been waiting for dialogue for years, what have you done? What have you done as an alternative? What is it that you have done? Ngikubuta lokho hayi ngekuthi kumbe ngithini, hayi ukuthi ngoba angikuva ukuthini, but ngisekutheni what is there, what else is there uma ngabe kungasiya i-dialogue. Lokhu ke lesibona ukuthi kukhona. How are you going to execute that? I still maintain with something else. angisho ukuthi kude, kukhona, kungaba kuningi futhi, but ekugcineni kwako konke ingodi yako ngiloko ukuthi maybe it will leave all of us blind esasabone. Kanti le lokukhulumisana ngiyavuma, I am equally frustrated. By the way, I'm not talking for the establishment because kude lokuthume ukuthi angilokhuluma dialogue. Bulima bamhle lekukhuluma ukuthi ngicabanga ukuthi lokukhulumisana. I'm equally frustrated ukuthi so la kufiki. Akufiki nenyalo noma sekunje akufiki. I'm equally frustrated. But I so wish ukuthi ngaba nalo kunye lengakubeka etafuleni. Ukuthi no, njengoba le dialogue ingafiki akwendeke nabo. And I respect the fact that probably labanye banako lokungcono lokunye lokungabekwa etafuleni. Because nami ngibeka nje just my clumsy opinion. Kepha ke ngiyakholwa ukuthi nakukhona lokunye asikubekeni etafuleni. Kuthi naku ke thina ke sasidawenza ukuthi, you know, mina nje maybe I'm not so much lokho lokunye ukuthi hey MP umuntu unama choices akhe ama MPs, you know. I respect that as well, you know. But akushintshi ukuthi lesikhashana lesibekhona lapha kuningi lesikubonile. We can make a contribution somewhere. And that's why I'm here, to share with my fellow countrymen and women. I'm going to learn, I'm going to take a lot from this forum, and probably if Bukwalapong and Distance Con, you'll also take something from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ushijima, please.
Nesin. Technology yahluphana. Okay. Mhlonishwa ngicela ukubuta naku. Wena asithi hypothetically when you've been chosen ulungisa live leMaswati utowendani, like what would you do? What is the Swaziland that you want to see? What is next? What would you want to see Swaziland in? I go to what we should do. What do you want to do? What would you do? Thank you.
Well, what would I do? Probably it is very difficult to say what would I do. Nangingibani ngaleso sikhathi, you know, ngabe nguyidela ukhetho yini, nangingibani ngaleso sikhathi mina. But ke clearly Iswatini lefanele siyifune siyibone ingiyo. Ngile lapho khona everyone will buy into the political enterprise yale live ngaleso sikhathi. Let us all participate freely. Ngama strengths edge and everything, everybody should participate to champion the political dispensation lesifunako without hindrance, without limitations. Singabophani. Sambe siyembili. This is the ideal destination that we have to reach as a nation. In a nutshell, that will be my response, putting able.
Thank you, Mhlonishwa. It's such a pity Eswatini alternative ideas. Begathi bafuna ku-table to you the alternative. But ngathi they've been connecting i-network yabo solo iyabaphikisa, and we've reached the end of our discussion. But they wanted to share with you the alternative to dialogue. But pity, nabo. Please, Eswatini, please, you know, Mhlonishwa is now gone over by 7 minutes. Please hurry up and tell us the alternative.
Yeah, no, Mhlonishwa, the alternative is simple. All progressives in the country, political parties and civil society, have been calling for dialogue. They all want dialogue, as Trans Tower said. The alternative is for us to capacitate Swazis to think and decide what future they want, help Swazis to rise up and force the king to dialogue. Because right now, the people are talking about dialogue, it's us. It feels like we're begging him. We have got to pile as much pressure as possible, isolate the king, his family, his lackeys all over the world, build the capacity of organizations in the country to organize themselves, and then they rise, they demand change, and then the king for dialogue. At this point, he's just comfortable. Everyone wants dialogue. Everyone knows that whatever the problem may be, it may be that ultimately we need to talk. But at this point, you keep on suggesting that what is this alternative? The alternative is that the person who discusses dialogue has got to stop being us. It's got to be the king. At this point, he's not at that level. And we think we must put pressure. We must organize Swazis. We must isolate the king internationally. We must sabotage his businesses. We must make life very, very uncomfortable for the royal family and their hangers-on, so that they are the ones who start picking dialogue. And then we'll meet on the table as equals, and then we'll demand our TBO back, we'll demand Tisua back, we'll demand our land back. And then the king will just be like, lenkosi yakamamba bahlangane ema ceremonies batendele whatever. And also lastly, the question of a republic doesn't mean there's no monarchy. South Africa is a republic, there's a monarchy. Uganda is a republic, there's a monarchy. So the point is that we must not equate it as if it's either or. We can have the king as a monarchy, bahlangane nalo kamamba wakhe, batixoxele ukuthi they were once kings at some point, but they play no role in our economics, they play no role in our politics. That's the solution.
Well, thank you very much. I have no choice but to respect your opinion and political position insofar as this matter is concerned. And trust me, I am not qualified even to offer an opinion on this matter, because you have stated your position and you are very, very clear. You've made yourself clear. Thank you.
Okay, we've come to the end of our discussion. Thanze ukubonga kakhulu kuwe Mntungwa, siyabonga. 2 hours of a busy man like you. Akusinto lelula, siyabonga kakhulu. Ungasikhohlwa nakusasa nasiku requesta on other platforms, ukhumbule ukuthi ngilaba. Siyabonga sicethi. Manje ke sesita kukhokha le groupini yethu ngoba phela kumele sichubeke sikhulume letinye sihlebe. Sesita kukhokha ke ngale ka WhatsApp. Mhlonishwa, ungasabi noma unganyanyi, ungatonzi. Sekusho nje ukuthi asikacabani kuchubeka kwempilo. But thank you so much for your time, honestly, greatly appreciated.
Cha sisi, ngiyabonga kubonga mina, and I respect that phela kufanele nani bese nikhuluma ekhaya. Thank you for offering me the space to share my thoughts and my political perspectives. And I really appreciate all interventions.
Oh my God, no ways. Mhlonishwa.
Hello?
Yes, you're breaking up.
Oh, am I breaking up?
Yeah, now you are back.
Okay. No, I was saying, I really appreciate lokba khona la, and ngiyabonga kakhulu lokho ukuthi sininike le opportunity lokuthi to share.
Yes.
And also I am taking more than you probably got. I'm taking more with me because the rich political discourse that I got to experience in this forum has basically enriched me. So ngiyabonga kakhulu. The next time, December, I'll be a valued guest. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. You can go now. Maswati ke angathi noma nawo ayahamba because you normally they want to stay and deliberate bomcebo. I guess Welile, maybe you can I don't know. I need to go mine. Angathi if Maswati besafuna kuchubeka yini angathi. But discuss lokushitiwe ngumhlonishwa. I don't know, maybe they can indicate. then maybe they can take over ngibende ema speaker, but mina vele sengiyahamba.
see.
Ma,
I had a
yeah.
hand. I had a hand, but unfortunately, time. I don't know who wanted to take or who would be up to take the position of the host. But I just wanted to
Yes.
appeal to the women folk here. I had my hand up for the longest of times because I wanted to submit as a woman now. I had issues that were giving me hiccups, especially issues in relation to the evolution. Umhlonishwa is of the mind that, political systems evolve. But at the same time, he's not, persuaded to think and believe that, Emaswati now, they have evolved in their own ideas and in their own perceptions of the monarchy. Especially, it was really telling Lokwendegile after the mobilization for Sibaya, the mass rural boycott. If you could take that as a feeler, it has something to tell us. He takes the individual merit basis, nasi problematizer. We try to problematize it, and he takes it in a historical context. So I wanted to challenge him a bit on that. But coming to the question of women and politics, for the longest of times, we've had Tinkundla, a system that has been, decisively misogynist, a system that has had tensions and lack of political will in terms of advancing women's rights issues and gender issues, broadly. One classic example would be the case of the SOTV. What we saw with the SOTV reflects on the whole landscape of women and politics in Swaziland, because if it is not a misogynist system, then how can it advance gender equality and gender equity? And he mentions development, like the Tinkundla as is. We cannot embrace a system that has been historically misogynist. And as women, we are the majority. So I just want to challenge the women folk here. When we have such spaces, let us continue to claim the space and to contest the narrative.